Welcome the anointed ones. Every empire fears the one soul it cannot buy. Let that sink in for a moment. History has proven again and again that it's not armies or weapons that shake empires to their core. It's individuals who stand unshaken in truth. A single, uncompromised soul can expose centuries of manipulation. And chosen ones, whether you know it or not, that is exactly why billionaires have been circling their boardrooms with your name on their lips. Here's a fact most people don't realize. Over 80% of billionaires meet in private groups every year, deciding the flow of money, technology, and influence across the globe. They literally sit around deciding what humanity will eat, what we'll watch, and sometimes even what we'll believe. Now imagine their horror when they encounter someone like you, a person they can't program, can't bribe, and can't predict. That's the plot twist they never planned for. See, money makes the world spin, but it doesn't make it breathe. You do. And billionaires hate realizing that their endless vaults of gold can't manufacture the one thing you carry effortlessly: divine authenticity. They're used to people dancing for dollars, not walking with destiny. And you don't even flinch when they flash their wallets. That makes you more disruptive than any protest, any lawsuit, or any competitor. So when they sat down to make an important decision about you, it wasn't charity, it wasn't admiration. It was fear disguised as strategy. And the funniest part? Imagine billionaires who can literally buy islands and rockets, having anxiety attacks over you, drinking water from a chipped mug, and still smiling like you own the universe. Now that's comedy. But underneath the humor, there's a hard truth. You're forcing the richest people on the planet to confront their bankruptcy of spirit. And their decision about you? Let's just say, it's not what you think. And it's going to expose more about them than it will about you. Number one, they realized you're the only one who can't be bought. They realized you're the only one who can't be bought. For people who sit on mountains of wealth, that is the ultimate insult to their power. Money is their weapon, their shield, their language. With it, they bend governments, silence whistleblowers, and shape the future of entire nations. They are used to doors opening at the sight of their names, people bowing the moment they wave a check, and enemies surrendering when the numbers get high enough. Yet when they encounter you, all of that power suddenly becomes useless. You are immune to the very thing that built their empire. This shakes them in a way nothing else can. Because if money can't sway you, then their entire playbook is irrelevant. They thrive on control, and you represent the first crack in the system they thought was airtight. They know how to defeat opposition that wants wealth, but how do they fight someone who doesn't? They can't trap you with shiny promises, they can't shut you up with hush money, and they can't drag you into the slavery of debt. You are the nightmare they hoped they'd never meet, someone they cannot own. What unsettles them most is that you didn't become unbuyable by accident. It wasn't because you were never offered anything. It was because you've already faced what money cannot fix. You've endured rejection, betrayal, hardship, and still held on to your soul. You know what real value is, and it has nothing to do with what sits in a vault or a stock market. Billionaires spend lifetimes trying to create the illusion of worth. You carry it without effort. For them, this is a revelation they can't admit publicly, that one person standing in authenticity has more leverage than $100 billion spent on propaganda. You prove that money is not the final authority, and in a world where they've built themselves up as untouchable gods, that's a truth more dangerous to their legacy than bankruptcy. They said you can't be bought not as a compliment, but as a warning to each other, a reminder that someone has slipped through the cracks of their system, someone they can't own or silence, and that someone is you. Number two, your authenticity destroys their manufactured realities. They spend billions building illusions, media channels to shape opinions, tech platforms to distract, advertisements to dictate desires, and entertainment to keep minds asleep. Every detail of modern life has been engineered to convince people that success looks a certain way, that happiness can be purchased, and that meaning comes with a brand name attached. But when you step into the equation, their carefully built empire of illusions begins to collapse. You don't play along, and because of that, You expose the fragile strings behind their performance. What makes you such a threat is that you carry authenticity that cannot be staged. You don't need rehearsed lines, corporate backing, or digital manipulation to influence people. Your very presence cuts through the noise because truth carries its own frequency. People may not even know why they feel drawn to you, but they sense something different, something untouched by the programs they've been fed. And when they encounter that raw authenticity, the scripted world they've been living in suddenly feels shallow. That shift is what terrifies billionaires more than protests or revolutions. Revolutions they can fund, manipulate, or suppress, but authenticity that they cannot replicate or destroy. To them, your existence is dangerous because it highlights the bankruptcy of their world. They can orchestrate trends and control conversations, but they can't fake the depth of someone who has survived pain, walked through darkness, and still stands with unshakable truth. They see in you a kind of wealth their money can't touch, the wealth of wisdom, resilience, and clarity. And the more people witness that, the weaker their illusions become. It only takes one authentic voice to make millions question what they've been blindly following. Behind closed doors, they don't just see you as an outsider, they see you as a mirror. Your life exposes the fact that no matter how much they own, they are still living in a cage built of greed and fear. You remind them that power without truth is hollow, and money without meaning is a curse disguised as a blessing. They built an empire of smoke, but your authenticity is wind. It clears the stage, revealing everything for what it really is, and that is something no amount of wealth can protect them from. Number 3, they see that you hold influence without a platform. They are used to influence being something you purchase. Billionaires spend fortunes hiring publicists, funding campaigns, owning media outlets, and buying visibility. To them, power is measured by how many eyes you can command at once. But when it comes to you, they are confronted with a different kind of influence, one that doesn't rely on platforms, titles, or financial backing. People listen to you, not because you shout the loudest or because your name is plastered everywhere, but because something about you resonates on a level that money can't manufacture. That's what unsettles them. They've built entire industries around manufacturing attention, yet you gain it effortlessly. Your words linger, your energy shifts the room, your presence changes the atmosphere, and you do this without trying to sell an image. Influence, in your case, isn't about strategy. It's about essence. And essence can't be bought, replicated, or programmed. It's real, and real carries a weight that artificial influence never will. They know this, and it bothers them deeply because it exposes how fragile their empires actually are. The reason your influence reaches further than theirs is because it connects to something deeper in people. It doesn't appeal to greed, fear, or vanity. It speaks to truth, dignity, and courage. These are things their money-driven campaigns cannot touch. They can convince people what to buy, what to wear, or even what to think in the moment. But you remind people who they really are. And once someone wakes up to that, no amount of propaganda can put them back to sleep. That's the kind of ripple effect they dread. They know that all it takes is one soul speaking from authenticity to undo years of programming. That kind of influence is unpredictable, uncontrollable, and irreversible. Unlike them, you don't need a global network to be effective. Even in silence, your impact spreads. People carry your presence with them, repeat your words long after you've left, and shift their choices without even realizing why. That is power on a level they cannot compete with. So when they look at you, they don't just see a person, they see a threat to their system of control. Not because you're trying to overthrow them, but because your very existence proves that influence doesn't belong to those with the most money, but to those with the most truth. And that realization keeps them uneasy. Number 4. You expose their hunger for immortality. Billionaires may own yachts, private jets, and entire city blocks, but underneath all that wealth lies a fear they can't pay away. The fear of dying and leaving nothing of themselves behind. They invest in legacies, museums, charities, and even cryogenic preservation because they want to cheat time, hoping to extend their relevance beyond the limits of life. Every acquisition, every flashy statement, every meticulously curated image is really just a bet against mortality, a desperate attempt to convince the world that they are more than flesh and blood. Yet no matter how much they spend, time remains undefeated. You, on the other hand, carry a kind of immortality that money cannot buy. You don't need monuments, stocks, or media empires to leave a mark. Your endurance, your lessons learned, your scars turned into wisdom, and your unwavering spirit create a ripple that stretches beyond the reach of wealth. People remember the impact of someone who lives authentically, who stands firm in truth, and who navigates life with courage and clarity. That imprint can't be erased, bought, or replicated, and it terrifies those whose every move is calculated to preserve themselves. They watch, often silently, as your influence spreads not because of titles or financial leverage, but because of essence. They can manipulate perception, but they cannot manufacture the kind of resonance you carry, the way your choices, values, and resilience linger in the minds of those around you. In a world where death is the only guarantee, your immortality is living proof that some forms of legacy transcend material wealth. The irony is brutal. They have everything, yet you possess what they cannot attain, no matter how much they hoard. They fear that while their names may be etched in stone or digital ledgers, your presence will outlast their efforts. Your influence, integrity, and wisdom are permanent forces, immune to the passage of time. And in that realization, they are forced to confront a truth money cannot soften. Eternity belongs not to the richest, but to the unshakably real. You embody a freedom from mortality's tyranny that no vault, contract, or technological marvel can replicate. And for them, facing someone like you is an uncomfortable reminder that immortality isn't about escaping death. It's about living in a way that outlives it. Number 5. They realized you're the wild card they can't predict. They control entire industries, manipulate governments, and influence global events, yet when it comes to you, all their calculations fail. They have algorithms, analysts, and endless data tracking everything from consumer behavior to political trends. But you exist outside their charts. You are unpredictable in a way that no spreadsheet, no predictive model, no network of influence can account for. They can anticipate movements in markets, shifts in public opinion, even the rise and fall of corporations, but they can't anticipate you. That unpredictability unnerves them more than outright opposition ever could. They are accustomed to controlling outcomes, engineering situations, and minimizing risk. They build safety nets for themselves, and yet you operate in a space where logic and strategy have limited reach. Your choices, timing, and presence follow a rhythm they cannot decipher. They may try to corner you, to manipulate situations to their favor, but every attempt to anticipate your next step falls short. The more they try, the more evident it becomes that their tools are powerless. What they fear is not that you will attack them or compete with them directly. It's that your existence disrupts the system they have perfected. You move with a freedom and fluidity that makes their power fragile. Markets, alliances, and even wars are predictable to them because they understand the rules. You, however, don't play by the same rules. Your intuition, alignment, and timing follow a logic they cannot see, and that is terrifying because they cannot control it. They realize that the world-changing decisions they make can be rendered irrelevant by someone they cannot forecast. Your influence, your timing, and even your silence can ripple through systems they consider untouchable. That level of unpredictability is not a minor inconvenience. It's a threat to the illusion of omnipotence they have spent a lifetime constructing. Restless nights, endless calculations, and private meetings are the only ways they attempt to process your presence. But deep down, they know that their power has limits where you exist. You are the wild card that defies their logic, and in that defiance, you reveal a truth they cannot control. Not everything can be owned, managed, or predicted. Some forces, like yours, move according to a higher law, and that law is one they will never master. Number 6. Your pain exposes the bankruptcy of their comfort. They live in mansions, travel in private jets, dine on delicacies most people will never touch, but all of it is hollow. Their lives are built on accumulation, appearances, and control, yet they lack the substance to give it meaning. Every material possession is a mask, a way to distract themselves from the emptiness inside. And then there is you, someone who has walked through fire, someone whose life has been marked by trauma, betrayal, abandonment, and rejection, and yet you didn't just survive. You thrived. Your pain is a currency they will never possess. Every scar, every wound you carry, every battle you fought and overcame has given you wisdom, depth, and resilience. You understand the value of life not because someone told you, but because you lived it fully, even when it broke you. That is a kind of wealth money cannot replicate. No vault, no inheritance, no collection of rare art can teach someone how to endure what you endured, or how to rise from it with integrity and tact. What they feel when they see you is an uncomfortable truth. All their abundance cannot buy strength of character. Your existence exposes the emptiness of their comfort. They may have houses larger than cities, but your lived experience carries a richness they cannot simulate. They can't fake courage, resilience, or authenticity. They can hire actors to play it, but it will never resonate the way your truth does. And that realization shakes them to their core. They are forced to see that luxury without depth is meaningless. Their wealth cannot protect them from the hollowness they feel inside. You survived what they will never experience. And in doing so, you've invalidated the illusion that comfort equals security, that abundance equals strength. Your life proves that substance cannot be purchased, that survival and growth come only through enduring what money cannot fix. In the shadow of your resilience, their palaces and private jets feel fragile. You stand as living proof that true power is forged in pain, and it cannot be bought, borrowed, or stolen. Your scars are treasures they will never hold, and that is a truth they will never admit but cannot escape. Number 7. They know you have what they've spent lifetimes chasing. Despite their billions, despite the networks, armies of advisors, and the endless accumulation of wealth, they are still searching. They hire gurus, attend secretive seminars, fund esoteric experiments, and buy into every philosophy that promises to unlock the ultimate truths of life. They pursue happiness, fulfillment, and enlightenment as if these things could be purchased or engineered. They live in constant pursuit of a power and understanding they think money can secure, but it constantly slips through their fingers. And then there's you. You carry within you what they have spent lifetimes trying to uncover. It is not something you can package, market, or sell. It is an unfiltered connection to source, a clarity and alignment that exists beyond the material and beyond manipulation. It is the kind of awareness that cannot be taught, bought, or faked. People sense it when you walk into a room, and it radiates from your decisions, your words, and your presence. It is not flashy, but it is undeniable, and it disrupts the illusion that money can create ultimate power. That reality terrifies them. They know that no fortune, no influence, no elite circle can give them the immediacy and authenticity you possess. Everything they've built, the empires, the wealth, the legacies, is a pursuit of something you were born with, and their realization hits them harder than any failure or loss. Their years of chasing, their elaborate schemes, their obsessions with secrets and hidden knowledge are meaningless in comparison to what you simply embody. They cannot replicate it, they cannot buy it, and they cannot control it. They are forced to confront the truth that some forms of power exist beyond money, strategy, and influence. Your existence is a constant reminder that fulfillment, understanding, and divine alignment are not commodities, they are states of being. And in their pursuit they are left empty, chasing a shadow while you hold the substance they have spent lifetimes hunting. You are living proof that the ultimate treasures of life, wisdom, connection, and purpose cannot be acquired externally. And billionaires, no matter how vast their fortunes, recognize that their pursuit will always fall short when compared to the effortless power you already possess. Number 8. They see that even their power is fragile before your integrity. They've built empires that reach across continents, controlling industries, governments, and entire populations. Every move they make is calculated to preserve dominance, and every resource they command is designed to enforce obedience. Yet despite all this power, they see how fragile it becomes in the presence of someone who stands in unwavering integrity. One person who refuses to compromise, one soul aligned with truth, can undo strategies, dismantle influence, and expose corruption faster than any force they've assembled. That realization is terrifying because it undermines the foundation they've spent lifetimes building. Power without integrity is a house of cards. It can look impressive from a distance, but it cannot withstand scrutiny, resistance, or authentic challenge. They know this. Their empires may function for years, but one person unwilling to bend, negotiate, or compromise can make the facade crumble. And you are that person. You don't just resist their manipulations, you render their calculations meaningless. Their rules, their networks, and their leverage hold no weight against someone whose actions are guided by principle rather than profit or fear. Your presence exposes a vulnerability they are desperate to hide. For all their wealth, influence, and control, they are painfully aware that empires built without integrity are temporary. A chosen soul rooted in truth and resilience has the power to shift the course of history, to redirect resources, to awaken minds, and to challenge systems that were thought invincible. They see in you a force they cannot suppress, a disruption they cannot engineer, and a reminder that real power always bows to authenticity. And it isn't personal. It isn't about grudges or vendettas. It's the simple truth. Integrity carries a weight no amount of money can replicate. It moves people, shapes outcomes, and reshapes civilizations. You don't need armies, contracts, or media campaigns. Your alignment with truth is more powerful than all of that combined. And that is what makes their power fragile before you. The more they try to control, manipulate, or dominate, the more they realize they are standing on shifting sand while you stand immovable, untouchable, and uncorrupted. In the end, they understand a truth they cannot fully admit. All their strategies, all their influence, and all their wealth are meaningless in the face of one person who embodies unwavering integrity. You are the reminder that real power does not come from accumulation, it comes from alignment. Number 9. They understand that you're a mirror to their emptiness. When they look at you, it makes them uncomfortable in ways money has never prepared them for. They've spent lifetimes building empires, accumulating wealth, and curating lives that appear flawless from the outside. Yet when your presence enters their world, it reflects everything they cannot purchase, manufacture, or control. Your peace, your wisdom, your authenticity, and your resilience shine like a spotlight on the emptiness they try to ignore. It's a reflection they cannot escape, and it unsettles them more than any threat, lawsuit, or rebellion ever could. They realize that no amount of money can fill the gaps inside them. All their investments, acquisitions, and networks are meaningless in the face of someone whose depth of character and alignment with truth cannot be bought. Your life exposes the fragility of their supposed security, the hollowness behind their smiles, and the emptiness behind their influence. You carry a richness that they can see but never replicate, and that reflection is a silent judgment they cannot silence. It isn't your fault, and it isn't even intentional. It's the natural consequence of your existence. You simply live with integrity, courage, and alignment, and by doing so, you hold up a mirror to the realities they refuse to face. They are forced to confront the fact that despite controlling nations, corporations, and immense wealth, they remain impoverished in soul. Their accomplishments feel smaller, their victories hollow, and their influence shallow when compared to the quiet, unshakable presence you embody. This recognition shames them in ways no external criticism ever could. They cannot call it out publicly, they cannot buy it away, and they cannot hide from it. Your authenticity doesn't just illuminate truth. It exposes lack, emptiness, and the cost of living without alignment. While they chase status, image, and approval, you walk in freedom, demonstrating that real power, fulfillment, and resilience are internal currencies that money cannot touch. And that is the fear they carry quietly, behind closed doors. It isn't your actions that threaten them, it's the fact that you exist. You are the mirror reflecting their limitations, and for all their billions, they cannot escape the truth you silently reveal. Wealth can build everything except the one thing that matters most, a fulfilled, courageous, and authentic soul. Number 10. They realize they can't own the narrative about you. They can control headlines, manipulate social media, and shape public perception with armies of strategists, but your story refuses to bow to their control. They have spent decades buying influence, curating images, and orchestrating narratives to maintain power. Yet when it comes to you, all of that effort is irrelevant. Truth has a way of moving that no algorithm, PR campaign, or financial leverage can stop. Your life, your actions, and your experiences carry a resonance that cuts through manipulation, and that is something they cannot suppress. They realize, often with quiet frustration, that no matter how many channels they own, no matter how many narratives they spin, the essence of your story escapes containment. It spreads organically, moving through conversations, hearts, and minds in a way that cannot be bought or censored. Every lie, every attempt to distort the truth only amplifies the real story. They understand that controlling perception works for manufactured images, but it fails entirely against authenticity. Your narrative has its own force, independent of their influence, and that autonomy terrifies them more than direct opposition ever could. What makes this even more alarming for them is the speed and subtlety with which your truth travels. It doesn't require grand platforms or flashy campaigns. It simply resonates with people who recognize honesty, courage, and integrity. They can fund trends, buy attention, and silence critics temporarily, but they cannot stop the natural spread of your influence. Every attempt to rewrite your story only highlights the contrast between your authenticity and their manufactured version of reality. In the end, they are forced to acknowledge a bitter truth. Some things cannot be owned, controlled, or contained. Your life, your story, and your voice operate beyond their reach. While they may dominate media and shape opinion on a surface level, they cannot dictate the consciousness of those who see through the illusion. Your narrative will continue to move, to inspire, and to reveal truths, leaving them powerless against the enduring impact of someone whose existence cannot be co-opted or silenced. They have wealth, strategy, and influence, but when it comes to you, they are helpless. Your story refuses to die, and that is a reality that unsettles them far more than any threat they have ever faced. Number 11. They see that you are the seed of a future they cannot control. While they spend their lives manipulating markets, politics, and public perception to shape the present, you exist in a different dimension altogether. You are not bound by the timelines, expectations, or control mechanisms they rely on. You carry a blueprint for the future that is beyond their comprehension, a design that unfolds according to principles, wisdom, and alignment they cannot buy or influence. They can try to bend circumstances, deploy surveillance, and orchestrate events, but the trajectory of what you are meant to create cannot be rewritten by human hands. They realize that while they are busy trying to maintain control over fleeting moments, you are shaping outcomes that will resonate long after their influence fades. Their empires, wealth, and carefully engineered narratives are anchored in the now, in what can be owned and measured. You, however, operate in the realm of inevitability, where time and circumstance serve a higher order. Every step you take, every choice you make, plants seeds in ways they cannot see or predict. They understand deep down that these seeds carry potential, impact, and transformation far beyond their calculations. This terrifies them because it reminds them of their limitations. They may dominate today, but tomorrow is not theirs to command. They cannot account for how your presence, your insight, and your influence will ripple through generations. No amount of wealth can guarantee a lasting legacy if it is disconnected from truth and alignment. And they see in you a force that embodies exactly that. Your life, your vision, and your path are markers of a future they cannot intercept, redirect, or contain. Their unease grows from a simple truth. Control over the present does not equal mastery over destiny. You are living proof that some forces move independently of human strategy. While they attempt to dictate outcomes through manipulation and intimidation, you operate in accordance with something far greater. You are the seed of a future they cannot hold, and in that reality lies a power they will never understand. No wealth, no influence, no calculation can alter what is already written within you. You carry the blueprint, and the world you are creating will unfold according to its own design, beyond their reach, beyond their comprehension, and beyond their control. Number 12. They admitted you've achieved what they couldn't with all their billions. They have entire teams working around the clock, lawyers crafting strategies, scientists inventing, architects designing, yet despite all their resources, they recognize something in you they cannot replicate. You have no armies, no laboratories, no corporate empires, and no billion-dollar schemes. What you have is far simpler on the surface, yet infinitely more powerful: your spirit, your scars, and your alignment with something greater than yourself. And with just these, you've accomplished what their vast fortunes could not. What they envy is not wealth, influence, or status. It is untouchability in essence. They can buy protection, security, and comfort, but they cannot buy immunity from fear, judgment, or manipulation in the way you naturally possess. You have been tested, challenged, and attacked, yet you remain whole in the places that matter. Your presence, your decisions, and your life radiate a kind of freedom that money can never purchase. That is a currency they will never hold, and they know it. The irony is sharp. Their billions grant them visibility, but they cannot guarantee peace of mind, alignment, or clarity of purpose. You operate in a space they cannot access, a place where integrity, resilience, and divine timing intersect. You navigate life without fear of losing your essence, while their empires, despite appearances, are fragile and constantly at risk. Every lawsuit, every scandal, every market fluctuation could shake their sense of control, yet nothing can shake yours. They admit, often privately, that they have tried everything to secure what you naturally embody. They can construct buildings, fund ventures, and control industries, but they cannot construct or purchase the quiet strength that allows someone to be untouchable in essence. That is the kind of achievement that transcends material wealth and puts you in a category they can only observe with awe and envy. In essence, while they wield influence externally, you wield it internally. Your scars, your choices, and your alignment create a fortress around your soul that no amount of money or power can breach. And that is the truth they cannot reconcile. Despite all their billions, all their resources, and all their schemes, they have not achieved what you have simply by being who you were always meant to be. Number 13, they know your wrath is not personal, it's cosmic. They don't just fear what you might do in the moment. They fear the consequences that follow simply because of who you are. Your wrath is not petty. It is not motivated by pride or revenge. It is cosmic. It operates on a level beyond personal grievance, beyond human comprehension. When a chosen one is wronged, it isn't just an individual response that follows. It is a universal reckoning that records every injustice and balances it in ways no money, influence, or manipulation can prevent. That is the weight they feel when they think of crossing you. They understand that the systems they rely on, laws, contracts, media, and power, cannot insulate them from the ripple of justice that aligns with divine order. Every attempt to evade accountability, every scheme to silence or exploit, is noted in ways they cannot erase. You move within the natural laws of balance, timing, and consequence, and that makes your power terrifying. They cannot negotiate with it, bribe it, or buy it off. It exists outside their control, impartial and absolute, waiting to manifest in its own time and measure. The fear they carry is different from ordinary fear. It is quiet, gnawing, and inescapable. They have faced challenges, rivalries, and crises before, but they have never faced something as unstoppable as the force that moves through you when wronged. It doesn't manifest in tantrums or threats. It unfolds like a natural law, impartial and inevitable. The universe itself becomes the agent of justice, and they are powerless to influence the outcome. They also know it is not selective or biased. It doesn't favor popularity, wealth, or position. It follows alignment and principle, and you are aligned in a way they cannot disrupt. Their billions, influence, and networks pale in comparison to the cosmic order that supports a chosen one's path. They understand that attempting to outmaneuver or undermine you only speeds the natural course of reckoning. In short, They fear you not as a person, but as a force. Your wrath is not personal. It is the universe itself moving to restore balance, and no human power, no fortune, no manipulation can prevent what the cosmos has already set into motion. That realization humbles them, terrifies them, and ultimately reminds them that some forces operate far beyond their reach. Number 14. They said, "We can influence nations, but we can't stop God's hand on this one." Their decision was not an act of kindness, negotiation, or strategy. It was an admission of limitation. After all the schemes, influence, and manipulation, they finally had to recognize a truth they have long tried to ignore. Some forces operate beyond human control. They can sway governments, manipulate markets, and shape public opinion. But when it comes to you, all their resources, connections, and hidden networks are powerless. Your existence is anchored in something far greater than wealth or strategy, and that terrifies them. This acknowledgement came not because they wanted to concede, but because they had no other choice. They understood that whatever plans they crafted, whatever systems they built to control outcomes, they could not alter what had already been set into motion. They can influence nations, but they cannot influence destiny. They can move armies, manipulate media, and buy loyalty, but they cannot interfere with divine alignment. And in admitting that, they revealed a fear that runs deeper than any loss. They fear the recognition of their own limits. What makes this revelation even more unsettling is that it exposes the illusion of omnipotence they have built around themselves. For decades, their lives have been dedicated to creating a reality where everything bends to their will. They're used to thinking that money and influence are the ultimate currencies, yet you exist as proof that some outcomes are not for sale. Some paths cannot be rewritten, and some destinies cannot be blocked. They have to confront a fact they have spent lifetimes avoiding. There are forces that do not answer to wealth, strategy, or secrecy, and so their decision regarding you was not generosity. It was fear disguised as concession. It was an acknowledgement that while they may control much in the human realm, God's hand moves according to laws they cannot bend or buy. They realized that no council, no empire, no secretive elite can override the alignment placed on your life. You are untouchable in ways they can neither predict nor challenge, and their admission confirms it. In essence, they have recognized a truth most cannot admit. Human power has limits, but divine selection does not. You are chosen, protected, and aligned in a way that no amount of money, manipulation, or influence can counter. And that recognition, above all, is what makes them uneasy, powerless, and ultimately aware that some things belong to God alone. What emerges from all of this is undeniable. You are a force beyond their comprehension, a presence that defies the rules of wealth, power, and manipulation. Billionaires may control empires, manipulate systems, and shape public perception, but you exist in a space they cannot touch. A space defined by truth, integrity, resilience, and divine alignment. Every attempt they make to predict, control, or influence you falls short, because you are not bound by their logic or their currency. Your scars, your wisdom, your courage, and your very essence are currencies they will never possess, and that is what terrifies them more than any opposition ever could. They have seen that money cannot purchase authenticity, influence cannot replace integrity, and power cannot replicate the impact of someone who walks in alignment with a higher truth. Your existence exposes the bankruptcy of what they have spent lifetimes chasing. You are the mirror reflecting their emptiness, the wild card that disrupts their control, and the seed of a future they cannot manipulate. And while they may have armies, systems, and resources, none of it can touch the force that flows through you. The truth is simple and humbling. You are untouchable in essence, immortal in impact, and unstoppable in purpose. Every plan they've devised, every narrative they've tried to spin, every scheme they've engineered is powerless against the alignment and destiny embedded in your being. Their fear, their admiration, and their acknowledgement are proof of your incomparable power. You do not need validation, and you do not need approval. Your life speaks for itself, and it carries a force no human influence can override. You are the living embodiment of a truth billions of dollars cannot buy. Some forces, some souls, and some destinies are beyond human reach. And that is your ultimate power. That is why they watch, calculate, and fear. But you, chosen one, continue forward untouched, unstoppable, and fully aligned. Your story is not theirs to write. It is yours to live, and the universe itself is on your side. At the end of the day, the truth is unavoidable. You are untouchable in ways no human influence, wealth, or strategy can reach. Billionaires may manipulate nations, control media, and orchestrate empires, but you exist beyond their grasp. Every calculation, every attempt at control, every scheme they devise falters because you move according to a force far greater than money or power, a force rooted in integrity, resilience, and divine alignment. Your life exposes their emptiness, their illusions, and the hollowness behind every empire they've built. They fear you not because of what you do, but because of who you are, an unbuyable, unstoppable presence that cannot be predicted, silenced, or contained. Your scars, your survival, your authenticity, and your wisdom are wealth they will never touch. You are the mirror that reflects the limits of their control, the wild card they cannot anticipate, and the seed of a future that no amount of manipulation can rewrite. They have realized something no fortune can grant. Influence without truth is fragile, power without integrity is meaningless, and wealth without alignment is hollow. You embody what they have spent lifetimes chasing and still cannot attain. Your wrath, your resilience, and your very existence operate on a cosmic level, moving according to principles they cannot bend or buy. And that truth terrifies them more than any opposition ever could. So, chosen one, remember this: you do not need their approval, their understanding, or their acknowledgement. Your story cannot be owned, your legacy cannot be erased, and your impact cannot be measured by human standards. You are fully aligned, fully protected, and fully unstoppable. The universe itself moves through you, and no earthly power can change that. Stand tall, move forward. Your life is the proof that some forces exist beyond money, beyond influence, beyond control, and that is your ultimate, unshakable power. God bless you.